What if the key to unshakable confidence had nothing to do with faking it until you make it, collecting compliments, or chasing the next fleeting achievement? For years, we've been sold a faulty blueprint for self-worth. We've been told to build a life that looks impressive on the outside, collecting accomplishments as if they were currency. We hoped that one more promotion, one more accolade, one more piece of praise would finally silence the nagging voice of self-doubt. But it never does. In fact, the more you achieve, the more you have to lose, and the louder that voice can become. It's an exhausting, endless cycle of seeking external approval. But after years of deconstruction and analysis, we uncovered a fundamental architecture of the mind that changes the entire game. A shift that takes you from desperately needing approval to forging a deep, quiet, unshakable confidence that is generated from within. Let's explore the upgrade from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, the precise algorithm that will liberate you from needing anyone else's approval permanently. To solve the problem, you first need to diagnose it with brutal honesty. For too long, many of us have been operating within what Stanford researcher Carol Dweck defines as a fixed mindset. This is the underlying belief that our qualities, our intelligence, our talents, our personalities, are static traits. In this paradigm, talent is a lottery ticket. You either have it or you don't. When you exist in this mental framework, every interaction is an audit. Every project, every conversation, every social event is a stage where your innate abilities are being judged. A fixed mindset makes challenges terrifying, because if you attempt something and fail, it's not just a failed task. It's interpreted as a failure of self. It's a direct blow to your perceived value. This is why so many operate in a state of low-grade panic, constantly scanning the external world for validation. We need the boss to signal our intelligence, our friends to confirm our value, our partners to prove our worth. This external praise is a short-term fix for a deep structural problem. Relying on external validation is a treadmill to nowhere, leaving you perpetually chasing the next compliment. The fixed mindset is also the ecosystem where comparison thrives. When you believe abilities are innate, you can't help but measure yourself against others. Her success doesn't just feel like your failure. In the fixed mindset's zero-sum game, it is your failure. You scroll social media, and instead of inspiration, you feel a deficit, because her life appears perfect while yours feels lacking. This isn't a personal flaw, it is the logical output of a mindset that views success as a limited resource you were either granted at birth or not. Operating from this framework is not just exhausting, it's a cap on your potential. It keeps you playing small, avoiding risk, and silencing your own voice out of fear of what someone else might think. But there is another way to operate. The antidote is the growth mindset. This is the core belief that your abilities are not fixed assets, but skills that can be forged through strategic effort, intelligent practice, and learning from others. It's the profound understanding that who you are today is merely a starting point. In a growth mindset, the objective shifts from proving your worth to improving your skills. Suddenly, challenges transform from threats into strategic opportunities. Failure is no longer a verdict, it's valuable feedback. And effort isn't a sign of weakness, it's the mechanism that builds strength. This shift is the bedrock of genuine internal confidence. Why? Because your self-worth is no longer tethered to a perfect performance or another person's approval. Instead, your confidence is anchored to your process, your ability to learn, adapt, and execute. It is a confidence that can be destabilized by a single setback or a critical comment, because you know you are a work in progress by design. So, how do you install this new operating system? It isn't a magical switch. It's the installation of a new operating system for your mind, built on a few small tactical shifts that will, over time, rewire the architecture of how you see yourself in the world. The first tactical shift, and arguably the most critical, is to reprogram your inner dialogue. For so many of us, the internal critic is a relentless saboteur. We speak to ourselves with a harshness we would never tolerate from or use on anyone else. It's the voice that whispers, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never be as successful as she is." A growth mindset requires that you replace this internal critic with strategic self-compassion. Let's be clear, this is not about making excuses. It's about performing a post-mortem without the toxic blame. When you make a mistake, instead of berating yourself, you pause. and acknowledge that mistakes are a fundamental part of being human, and more importantly, a non-negotiable component of learning. The practical application is simple. Ask yourself, what would I advise a high-performing colleague in this exact situation? You would never tell your best friend she's a total failure after one difficult presentation. You would say, that was challenging, but what was the key learning? How can we iterate for a better outcome next time? Practicing self-compassion is a strategic tool for building resilience. It liberates you from the paralysis of perfectionism and provides the fortitude to get back up and try again. Your value isn't tied to a flawless record, it's built on your resilience. Shift number 2, architecting your internal validation system. True confidence is an inside job. It cannot be outsourced. This means you must break the addiction to praise and approval. This shift begins with learning to trust your own judgment. As women, we are often socially conditioned to outsource our decision-making. We poll our network before making a move, we dilute our opinions to maintain consensus, and we look to others to tell us we're on the right track. To break this cycle, you must define your own metrics for success. Ask yourself, what is my non-negotiable definition of a successful life? Not your parents' definition, not social media's definition, but yours. When your actions are aligned with your own core values, you no longer require external sign-off. This also requires that you learn to self-validate. At the end of each day, run a personal audit. Acknowledge your wins, no matter how small. Did you enforce a critical boundary? Did you speak up in a meeting when it felt risky? Did you execute on a task you wanted to avoid? Celebrate these victories privately. When you become your own primary source of validation, the opinions of others become ambient data, not a critical resource. A massive pillar of the fixed mindset is an intense fear of failure, but in a growth mindset, there is no such thing as failure, only feedback. This reframe is an absolute game changer. Instead of viewing a setback as a dead end, you begin to see it as a data point. When a project doesn't go to plan, you ask, what can I learn from this? When you receive constructive criticism, you see it as valuable intelligence that can help you improve, not as a personal attack. This shift radically diminishes the fear and anxiety that hold so many of us back. Consider the well-known Hewlett-Packard internal finding that men often apply for a job meeting only 60% of the qualifications, while women tend to wait for 100%. The precise numbers are debatable, but the underlying principle is undeniable. That hesitation is not a confidence problem, it is a fixed mindset problem. It is the fear of being exposed as imperfect or unready. But when you upgrade your thinking from, I'm not ready, to, I will learn in the process, you unlock a new universe of opportunity. Embracing feedback means you have permission to take calculated risks. You can try new ventures. You can be messy, imperfect, and human, all while knowing that every stumble is simply a part of the forward journey. The objective is no longer failure avoidance. It's rapid, iterative learning. This may be the simplest yet most profound linguistic hack you can implement. Dr. Carol Dweck herself champions the power of one small word, yet. In a fixed mindset, we make definitive final statements about our abilities. I'm not good at public speaking. I can't run a 5K. I'm bad at math. These are closed loops. They terminate potential before it can even be explored. A growth mindset simply appends yet to the end of these sentences. I'm not good at public speaking yet. I can't run a 5K yet. I'm bad at math yet. This single word reframes a permanent state into a temporary one. It acknowledges your current position while holding open the possibility for future development. It implies that with strategic effort and practice, improvement is inevitable. This isn't delusional positivity. It is the recognition that your potential is not a fixed quantity, but a dynamic capacity. It's about giving yourself permission to be a beginner. Your assignment is to consciously append the word yet to every I can't statement you utter. It's a micro adjustment that triggers a macro shift in your entire mental framework. Let's be clear. True, durable confidence has zero to do with faking it. It has everything to do with fundamentally upgrading the way you think about yourself. It is the process of exiting the prison of the fixed mindset, where you are perpetually audited and judged, and entering the arena of the growth mindset, where you are a perpetual student constantly evolving and the sole arbiter of your own value. This journey is about replacing self-criticism with strategic self-compassion, trading external validation for an internal compass, reframing failure as actionable intelligence, and leveraging the profound power of yet. This is not a quick fix. It is a discipline. It is a conscious choice you make every day. But every time you choose progress over perfection, every time you treat a setback with strategic kindness, and every time you trust your own internal guidance, you are engineering the foundation of your unshakable confidence. You are becoming the woman who does not need the world's permission to feel worthy, because her worth is self-evident. Thank you for watching. If you found value in this breakdown, please give it a like and subscribe for more content on building a confident and authentic life. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which mindset shift will you implement first?